This is Carl Tichenor speaking, and it is a pleasure for me to do this brief interview with Esther Gilbert, CEO of Holistic Choices, and she's also the author of True Health Mastery, Transform Your Health, Change the World. Esther, in my role as a collegiate cross-country and track and field coach, I remember how fortuitous it was that we met and how we both agreed on the critical role proper nutrition plays for optimal performance by my athletes, not just in competition, but in practice sessions as well. So subsequent to that, as you know, our first meeting, it was a no-brainer for me to bring you on board my coaching staff as our nutritional physiologist. Well, over the past 3 years, my athletes and I have benefited greatly from your knowledge and input regarding our nutritional health, and my strong sense is that the kind of information you communicate and instruct in this regard can be easily applied to anyone, not just athletes who want to maximize their health vibrancy in every aspect of their lives. So, with the few minutes that we have together, I'd like to ask you some questions that you can address for the benefit of your audience. Okay?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Well, as you know, Esther, we live in a world or live in a time where we're bombarded with all kinds of advice on healthy living through television infomercials, internet blogs, advertising, tweets, you name it. How does the average consumer begin to separate fact from fiction, hype from truth when it comes to really wanting to get their health and nutrition right?
That's a great question, and that's something that I have to confront every single day in my writing, in my teaching, in my consultations with clients. I realize there are a lot of barriers there to overcome, and we basically have to just erase pretty much everything we've ever learned about how to manage our health, and really look at the established science, true science, not pseudoscience, not things that you can that you pick up from other people who claim to be health advisors with no credentials. You have to establish a long time foundation of your own health. When you look at it scientifically, you have to have a solid foundation of knowledge, of science, of your own nutritional physiology. Without that, you can be snowed by just about anyone. There's a lot of aggressive marketing and advertising campaigns out there. There are a lot of people who have done some research but still don't have years of training and studying the human body and how it reacts to various substances that humans subject themselves to. All these diets out there are totally wrong. A lot of the food choice systems that are established, even organizations that are supposedly credible, they're just not enough for good health. There are so many factors nowadays that contribute to poor health that we have to examine and really get to learn and really get familiar with, first of all.
One of the things I noticed in your background is you have quite a bit of experience, research experience. Can you talk a little bit about your background, the credentials you have to position yourself as an authority on this subject?
Oh yes, well my education has spanned 3.5 decades because I've gone back to college numerous times just to fulfill the void that I felt in my education in order to help people and really improve their health in the long term. To really transform their health, they need to understand a lot of things, and I had to go through that learning process. So I started out as a clinical dietetics major at University of Long Beach, California, and when I moved up north, I attended UC Davis briefly. But when I was unable to complete that due to family obligations and financial stress there, we had to wait on my education, my husband and I. So what I did in the meantime while I was raising my children, I went ahead and I explored alternative holistic options, and I found a college there that would be nice, to study under for a while, and I ended up getting a master's degree in holistic nutrition from that college. Now, it wasn't an accredited college, I have to say that up front, but what I learned holistically from that college, to me, they taught me more than my dietetics curriculum actually did about how to apply nutrition to heal the body. And of course, having been trained scientifically minded, I went ahead and did a lot of research on my own, and that's how I put together the protocol for my clients. I utilized my clinical dietetics education, and I combined that. I integrated the holistic education, and I combined also my tenacious ways of researching, diving into the scientific literature, and pulling out hidden archives that the public just wasn't even aware of. So I put together nutritional healing protocols for my clients, and that's what made them succeed. So this is the kind of the path that I have gone. I finally ended up finishing up the dietetics degree with a clinical dietitian, a bachelor's degree in nutrition science.
When I have to confess, when I bought your book and read it, True Health Mastery, I did it primarily to make sure that I was positioning my athletes correctly as from a nutrition standpoint. However, as I got into the book, I realized, wait a minute, I don't care so much about my athletes anymore. This is for me. So one of the questions I want to ask, and it's an exhaustive book, it's your passion for truth is obvious throughout all of it. What inspired you to write True Health Mastery?
I wanted to put together 3.5 decades of research, of education, of experience in practice, and helping people really improve their health. So I had to put all of that in one spot, in one place, so that this information wasn't scattered everywhere. I found through the years of study and research and developing protocols for my clients that I needed to put this information in one place. I would compile notebooks for my clients so that they could later review them and go back to them and use them as health reference manuals. They're whole health Bibles, so to speak. But a lot of them just didn't have time to do it, and people tend to forget. You can't possibly remember everything that I try to cram into a consultation session, hence the notebook that I put together for them for future reference. But even then, a lot of them still didn't have time to go back and review that material. I mean, nutrition is very underrated. It's very undervalued everywhere. People don't realize what a complex, vast science it really is. So this is what I've had to do. I had to just write the book and put it all in one place for people.
Because one of the things, even for me, is personally, it's frustrating sometimes when you go into a supermarket and you're trying to read the ingredients and you're trying to get this right. But one thing, in being your client, as well as a number of my athletes, is that the protocol you write is really a great foundation for anybody that you can establish us with to use as a reference, a solid reference guide. Because if we, I mean, you'd agree, you've talked about the education system. This isn't something we're really taught,
right,
you know, through the formative years, and I wish that we were more of. But I think that's a nice thing for the audience to know, that you can create a guide that they can refer to on a daily basis, even on a meal basis, correct?
Yes, and it's not just about nutrition. There are so many other factors that affect your health. We live in a toxic world, and I don't think people realize to what extent it really affects their health. It disrupts a lot of the synthetic chemicals that you're exposed to every day, whether it's in your shampoo or your makeup or your deodorant or your household cleaning supplies, your dish soap, your body lotion, everything that you are exposed to. If you look at the ingredient labels, you'll see a lot of ingredients that you just don't recognize. They're not really nutrients for your skin. They are synthetic chemicals that were formulated in the laboratory as fillers, as something that would be as a colloid to hold all the ingredients together so they don't separate, things like that. But we're so exposed to that, and not only in the products that we use, but in our food that we eat. We're ingesting pesticides, we're ingesting genetically modified organisms that are changing our DNA, and that get passed on to the next generation. And if you notice, in the past 3 decades, in the last 2 or 3 generations, our robust health has been being diminished. Every other person that you meet has some major health issues, and that's because they haven't learned all of these other factors, aside from whole nutrition, that contribute to the disease process.
Obviously, we've talked about your book, True Health Mastery, but you also have a website, holisticchoices.com, and I was wondering if, as we began this interview, a lot of people out there that are listening to this are really struggling with trying to separate fact from fiction, hype from truth, and that type of thing. Tell us a little bit more about the resource your website can provide to help people walk through this process of identifying what's right for them?
I'm really glad you asked, you mentioned the website, because it's really a kind of a hub where you can go to provide yourself with all the resources that you need to master your health. I mean, a lot of people are trying to manage their health with very little information, with a lot of other outside influences. So it's now you have to just take this matter into your own hands and learn the science behind your body. You don't have to go to college and get a PhD or anything, or a master's degree or bachelor's even, but some exposure to the real science behind your health really helps you make a lot better choices. So that if you go to the website, I'm about to launch an online magazine, and I created this magazine so that people would be educated gradually, so that the information that they take from the True Health Journal magazine will be something they can use every day in their lives. And this gradual accumulation of knowledge is what will really help you master your health. Because if you're inundated suddenly with all sorts of technical data, there's no way you're going to be able to, one, separate that from all the other hype that's out there and be able to distinguish real fact from fiction. Or, so it's important to be able to really understand the differences and learn that.
Esther, this is great. Our time's just about up. But before we go, if you could remind our listeners your website and how they might be able to purchase your book, True Health Mastery.
Okay, sure. It's www.holisticchoices.com, and the True Health Journal is in it. You can also look at the different tabs on there, and if you look at the authored books tab, it'll go straight to the page where it'll list my books. They are available in paperback, and they are also available with a Kindle Reader, which you can download for free from Amazon. They're available at Barnes & Noble. You can order them through any of the major bookstores. They're also available to educational institutions. If you're an instructor or an educator, you can order the book also and have your students read the book. It'll give them a much better perspective on nutrition and the causal factors of disease that everyone is succumbing to these days. Most everyone is in the disease process, and I'm trying to reverse that. So we have to educate people at the ground level, really. And so students of nutrition, students in the biological sciences, I feel it's probably a good idea to, if you're an educator, to recommend the book or have it even be required reading to give them a much better rounded perspective of their studies.